Good morning, 18th of June. It's Natasha N.K.O. 10011001. I'm starting to reread Sam Selvon's The Lonely Londoners, and my copy it was first published in 1956. That's what I would reference. It doesn't say anything about this particular edition. And I put pictures already on Facebook of the front and back of the book, so the synopsis is open. It reads, one grim winter evening, when it had a kind of unrealness about London, with a fog sleeping restlessly over the city and the light showing in the blur as if it is not London at all, but some strange place on another planet, Moses Alouetta hop on a number 46 bus at the corner of Chepstow Road and Westbourne Grove to go to Waterloo to meet a fella who was coming from Trinidad on the boat train. When Moses sit down and pay his fare, he take out a white handkerchief and blow his nose. The handkerchief turned black, and Moses watch it and curse the fog. He wasn't in a good mood, and the fog wasn't doing anything to help the situation. He had was to get up from a nice warm bed and dress and come out in this nasty weather to go and meet a fella that he didn't even know. That was a hurtful part of it. It's not as if this fella is his brother or cousin or even friend. He don't know the man from Adam. But he gets a letter from a friend in Trinidad who say that this fella coming by the SS Hildebrand, and if he could please meet him at the station in London and help him until he gets settled. The fella named Henry Oliver. But the friend tell Moses not to worry, that he described Moses to Henry, and all he have to do is to be in the station when the boat train pull in, and this fella Henry would find him. So for old time's sake, Moses found himself on the bus going to Waterloo, vexed with himself that his heart's so soft that he always doing something for somebody and nobody ever doing anything for him. Because it looked to Moses that he hardly have time to settle in the old Britain before all sorts of fellas start coming straight to his room in the water when they land up in London from the West Indies, saying that so-and-so tell them that Moses is a good fella to contact, that he would help them to get a place to stay and work to do. Jesus Christ, Moses tell Harris, a friend he have, I never see things so. I don't know these people at all, yet they're coming to me as if I is some liaison officer, and I catching my arse as it is, how I could help them out. And this sort of thing was happening at a time when the English people started to make rab about how too much West Indians come into the country. This was a time when any corner you turn is 10 to 1, you're bound to bounce up a spade. In fact, the boys all over London, it ain't have a place where you wouldn't find them, and big discussion going on in Parliament about the situation, though the old Britain too diplomatic to clamp down on the boys or to do anything drastic like stop them from coming to the mother country. But big headlines in the papers every day, and whatever the newspaper and the radio say in this country, that is the people Bible. Like one time when newspapers say that the West Indians think that the streets of London paved with gold, a Jamaican fella went to the income tax office to find out something, and first thing the clerk tell him is, you people think the streets of London are paved with gold. Newspaper and radio rule this country. Now the position have Moses uneasy, because to tell truth, most of the fellows who come in now are real hustlers, desperate. It not like time when 40 or 50 straggling in, they invading a country by the hundreds. And when them fellas who here a long time see people running from the West Indies, it's only logic for them to say it would be damn foolishness to go back. So what Moses could do when these fellas land up hopeless on the doorstep with one set of luggage, no place to sleep, no place to go. One day a set of fellas come. Who tell you my name and address? Moses asked them. Oh, we get it from a fella named Jackson who was up here last year. Jackson is a bitch, Moses say. He know that I see in hell myself. We have money, the fellas say. We only want you to help we get to get a place to stay and tell we how to get a work. That harder than money, Moses grunt. I don't know why the hell you come to me. But all the same, he went out with them, because he used to remember how desperate he was when he was in London for the first time and didn't know anybody or anything. Moses sent the boys to different addresses. Too much spades in the water now, he told him. Try down by Clapham. You don't know how to get there. They will tell you in the tube station. Also, three of you could go to King's Cross station and ask for a fellow named Sampson who working in the luggage department. He will help you out. And so, like a welfare officer, Moses scattering the boys around London, for he don't want no concentrated area in the water as it is. Things bad enough already. And one or two that he take a fancy to, he take them around by houses he know it would be all right to go to. For at this stage, Moses know which part they will slam door in your face and which part they will take in spades. And it's the same soft heart that have him now on the bus going to Waterloo to meet a fellow named Henry Oliver. He don't know how he always getting in position like this, helping people out. He sigh, the damn bus crawling in the fog, and the evening so melancholy that he wished he was back in bed. When he get to Waterloo, he hop off and went in the station, and right away in that big station he had a feeling of homesickness that he never felt like in the 9-10 years he in this country. For the old Waterloo is a place of arrival and departure, is a place where you see people crying goodbye and kissing welcome, and he hardly have time to sit down on a bench before this feeling of nostalgia hit him, and he was surprised. It have some fellas who in Britain long, and yet they can't get away from the habit of going Waterloo whenever a boat train coming in with passengers from the West Indies. They like to see the familiar faces. They like to watch their countrymen coming off the train, and sometimes they might spot somebody they know. Hey, Watson, what the hell you doing in Britain, boy? Why you didn't write me you was coming? And they will start big old talk with the travellers, finding out what happening in Trinidad, in Grenada, in Barbados, in Jamaica and Antigua, what is the latest Calypso number, if anybody did, and so on. And even asking strangers questions they can't answer, like if they know Tanti Simmons who live in La Basse in Port of Spain, or a fellow named Harrison working in the Red House. But Moses, he never in this sort of slackness. The thought never occurred to him to go to Waterloo just to see who coming up from the West Indies. Still, the station is that sort of place where you have a soft feeling. It was here that Moses did land when he come to London, and they have no doubt that when the time come, if it ever come, it will be here he will say goodbye to the big city. Perhaps he was thinking it's time to go back to the tropics. That's why he feeling sort of lonely and miserable. Moses was sitting there on a bench smoking the woods when a Jamaican friend named Tolroy came up. The boat train come yet? Tolroy asked, although he know it ain't come yet. No, Moses say, though he know that Tolroy know. Boy, I expect my mother to come, Tolroy say in a nervous way, as if he frightened at the idea. You send for she? Moses say. Yes, Tolroy say. I wish I was like you, all you Jamaican, Moses say. All you could live on £2-3 a week and save up money in a suitcase under the bed. Then when you have enough, you send it for the family. I can't save a cent out of my pay. What I do is my business, Tolroy say, taking offence. Yes, I say it's a bad thing. I trying to do the same thing ever since I come to this country. I was just thinking about when you yourself did first come, how I help you to get a job in a factory, and how you have so much money saved, and I ain't have cent. So it go, boy. You still live in Harrow Road? Yes, but now that old lady come in, I will have to look for a bigger place. You know about any? Not my way, but Big City was telling me yesterday it have a house down by the Grove, will have some vacant rooms. Why you don't see him and find out? I will see him tomorrow. You have a cigarette? I just smoking the last. Toro sit down on the bench with Moses, and the two of them watching Waterloo Station, all the things that are happening, all the people that coming and going. Where the guitar? Moses asked. I didn't bring it, man, Toro say. When Toro did left Jamaica, he bring a guitar with him to Britain, and he always have this guitar with him, playing it in the road and in the tube, and when he's standing up in the queues. We better get platform ticket, Moses say. And they was just in time for the boat train pull in and people start to come off the train. Moses stand up out of the way with his hands in his pocket, not interested in the passengers, only waiting for this fella Henry to come so he could get back home out of the cold and the fog. It had a Jamaican fella who living in Brixton that come to the station to see what tenants he could pick up for the houses that he have in Brixton. This test, when he did first come open up a club, And by he save up money and buy a house. The next thing you know, he buy out a whole street of houses in Brixton and let out rooms to the boys, hitting them anything like 3 or 4 guineas for a double. When it come to making money, it ain't have anything like Ease Me Up or Both of We Is Countrymen Together in the old London. Sometimes he put bed and chair in 2 or 3 big room and tell the fellas they could live in there together, but each would have to pay £1. So you could imagine 5, 6 fellas in one room and the test coining money for sale. And whenever a boat train come in, he hustling down to Waterloo to pick up them fellas who new to London and ain't have a place to stay, telling them how Brixton is a nice area, that you have plenty Jamaicans down there already, and they would feel at home in the district because the mayor on the boys' side and it ain't have plenty prejudice there. While Moses smiling to see the test hustling tenants, a newspaper fella come up to him and say, "Excuse me, sir, have you just arrived from Jamaica?" And Moses don't know why, but he told the fella yes. "Would you like to tell me what conditions there are like?" The fella take out notebook and pencil and look at Moses. Now Moses don't know a damn thing about Jamaica. Moses come from Trinidad, which is 1,000 miles from Jamaica. But the English people believe that everybody who come from the West Indies come from Jamaica. The situation is desperate, Moses say, thinking fast. You know the big hurricane it had 2 weeks ago? Yes, the reporters say, for in truth it did have a hurricane in Jamaica. When I was in that hurricane, Moses say, plenty of people get killed. I was sitting down in my house and suddenly when I look up I see the sky. What you think happened? What? The hurricane blow the roof off. But tell me, sir, why are so many Jamaicans immigrating to England? Ah, Moses say, that is a question to limit. That is what everybody trying to find out. They can't get work, Moses say, warming up. And furthermore, let me give you my view of the situation in this country. We can't get no place to live, and we're only getting the worst jobs it have. But by this time, the infant feel that he get catch with Moses, and he say thank you, and hurry off. Moses was sorry. It was the first time he ever really get a good chance to say his mind, and he had a lot of things to say. There one time they wanted to take out his photo. It happened while I was working in the railway yard, and all the people in the place say they go strike unless the boss fire Moses. It was a big ballad in all the papers. They put it under a big headline, saying how the colour bar was causing trouble again. And a fella come with a camera and wanted to take Moses' photo, but Moses saying no. A few days after that, the boss called Moses and told him that he's sorry, but as they're cutting down the staff and he was new, he would have to go. Meanwhile, Tolroy, Tolroy. Meanwhile, Tolroy gone down by the bottom of the train, stumbling over suitcase and baggage as he trying to see everybody what coming off the train at the same time. An old woman who looked like she would dead any minute come out of a carriage, carrying a cardboard box and a paper bag. When she get out the train, she stand up there on the platform as if she confused. Then after she a young girl come, carrying a flower bag filled up with things. Then a young man wearing a wide brim hat and a jacket falling below the knees. Then a little boy and a little girl. Then another old woman, tottering so much a guard had was to help she get out of the train. Oh, Jesus Christ, Toro said, what is this at all? Toro, the first woman, say, you don't know your own mother. Toro hugged his mother like a man in a daze. Then he said, but what Tante Bessie doing here, ma? And Agnes and Lewis and the 2 children. All of we come, Toro and ma say. This is how it happened. When he write home to say you're getting £5 a week, Lewis say, oh God, I go in England tomorrow. Well, Agnes say that she's not staying at home alone with the children, so all of we come. And what about Tanty? Well, you know how old your Tanty getting, Toy. It's a shame to leave she alone to dead in Kingston with nobody to look after she. Oh God, ma, why you bring all these people with you? Toro start to shiver with a kind of fright. Ah, you see what I tell you, Tanty say to the mother. You see how ungrateful he is. I will go back to Jamaica right now, and she make as if she's going back inside the train. Toy Ma say, you remember when you was a little boy, how you used to live at Tanti and she used to mind you and send you to school and give you tea and bake in the evening. You remember them days when Tanti give you shoes to wear and pants to put on your backside? How you expect me to leave Tanti behind when all the family go into England? But Ma, you don't know what you put yourself in. Roy start to argue right there on the platform and people watching them. A porter pushing a trolley say, come on there, out of the way. And he nearly bounced up Tanti. He was looking all about in the station with she eyes wide open. Look at trouble here, Tanti say. Mister, you best had's mind what you doing. Yes, if you touch me with that thing, I'll call a policeman for you. Toro put all the family out of the way and they stand up there arguing, for Toro ain't catch himself yet. He can't realise that all these people on his hands in London in the grim winter and no place to go to stay. The reporter fella see the small crowd and he figured that it looked like a family and he might get a good story from them. Why so much Jamaican coming to London? So he went up to Tanti and say, excuse me, lady, I am from the N.K.O. Is this your first trip to England? Don't tell that man nothing, Toro growled. Why are you so prejudiced, Tanti say? The gentleman asked me a good question. Why I shouldn't answer? And she turned to the reporter and say, yes, mister, it's my first trip. Have you any relatives here? Are you going to live in London? Well, my nephew Toro here in this country a long time, and so he sent for the rest of the family to come and live with him. Not so, Toro. But Toro gone to help Lewis and Agnes find their luggage. Toro is a good boy, Tanti say. I mind him since he was small. Yes, the reporters say. But can you tell me why so many people are leaving Jamaica and coming to England? It's the same thing I say, Tanti say excited. I tell all of them who come in. Why all you leaving the country to go to England? Over there it's so cold that only white people does live there. But they say that they have more work in England and better pay. And to tell you the truth, when I hear that Toro getting £5 a week, I had to agree. Tell me, madame, what will you do in London? Who, me? Tanti looked around as if the reporter talking to somebody else. Why, I come to look after the family. All of them was coming, so I had to come too, to look after them. Who will cook and wash the clothes and clean the house? This time so, Ma pulling Tanti's hand to make she stop talking, but Tanti only shaking off the hand. What happening to you, Tanti tell Ma? You can't see this gentleman from the newspapers come to meet we by the station. We have to show that we have good manners, you know. May I take your picture? The reporter asked. He wanted to take photo, Tanti nudged Ma. Where are all the children? Toro, Agnes, Lewis, she calling out as if she calling out in a backyard in Jamaica. Or you come and take photo, children. The mister want a snapshot. One of you alone will be quite sufficient, the reporter say. What? Tanti say. You can't take me alone. You have to take the whole family. And she went to round up the rest. Now, Toro don't want to have no part in this business, but Tanti insisted so much that not so make a bigger scene, people standing up and watching them, he went and stand by Ma with a sulky face. Wait a minute, Tanti told the reporter when he was ready, and she began to open up the cardboard box right there on the platform, and she take out a straw hat with a wide brim and put it on she head. I ready now, she say, posing with the family. I hope you don't find our weather too cold for you, the reporter said maliciously when he was going. The next day, when the N.K.O appeared, it had a picture, and under the picture, right, now, Jamaican families come to Britain. While all this confusion happening, Moses was killing himself with laugh, but as all the people begin to go away and he can't see this Henry Oliver, at least nobody ain't broach him, he was just making up his mind to go home when he spotted Test struggling up from the bottom of the train as if he did fall asleep and not know the train reached Waterloo. And in truth, is that what happened to Henry? And though he tells some fellows in the carriage to wake him up when they reached London, in the hustlement of getting off the train, nobody remembered Henry, and a guard had was to wake him up. Moses watched Henry coming up the platform, and he have a feeling that this couldn't be the fella that he come to meet. For the Test have on an old grey tropical suit and a pair of watchacong and no overcoat or muffler or gloves or anything for the cold. So Moses sure is some Test who living in London a long, long time and accustomed to the beast weather. Even so, he really had to feel the fella, for as the evening advanced and it getting colder and colder, and Moses stamping his foot as he stand up there. The fella, as soon as he see Moses, walked straight up to him and said, I bet you is Moses. Moses say, yes. Ah, Henry say, looking about the desolate station as if he in an exhibition hall on a pleasant summer evening. Frank, this Frank did say you would come to meet me in Waterloo. My name Henry Oliver. You're not feeling cold, old man, Moses say, eyeing the specimen with amazement, for he himself having a long wool underwear and a heavy fireman coat that he picked up in Portobello Road. No, Henry say, looking surprised. This is the way the weather does be in the winter. It not so bad, man. In fact, I feel it a little warm. Jesus Christ, Moses say, what happened to you? You sick or something? Who, me? Sick? You making joke. Moses watched the specimen again suspiciously. You must be have on bags of wool under that suit, he say. You can't fool an old test like me. What you making so much fuss about, Henry say, opening his shirt to show bare skin underneath. This is a nice climate, boy. You feeling cold? Take it easy, Moses said, deciding to wait and see how things would develop with this strange character. Get your luggage and we will go. Tonight you could stay by me, but tomorrow I might shift from my room and go upstairs, and I will see if I can fix up with the landlord for you to take my room. Whenever you ready, Henry say. Where your luggage? What luggage? I ain't have any. I think it is no sense to load up myself with a set of things. When I start to work, I will buy some things. Now, Moses is a veteran who living in this country for a long time, and he meet all sorts of people and do all sorts of things. But he never thought the day would come when a fellow would land up from the sunny tropics on a powerful winter evening wearing a tropical suit and saying that he ain't have no luggage. You mean you come from Trinidad with nothing? Well, the old toothbrush always in the pocket. Henry packed the jacket pocket. And I have on a pair of pajamas. Don't worry, I will get fixed up as soon as I start to work. You does smoke? Yes, you have any on you now? I finished my last packet on the train. You mean to say you come off the ship with no cigarettes? You don't know that does allow you to land with 200 and that it have fellas who manage to come with 500-600? You don't know how cigarettes expensive like hell in this country? Nobody tell you anything at all about London? Frank ain't give you some tips before you leave Trinidad? Oh, he told me a lot of things, but you know how them fellas always like to exaggerate, and I only listen to him halfway. You does drink? Yes. You mean to say you come off the ship with no rum? You don't know that does allow you to land with 2 bottles, and some of the boys just manage to come ashore with 4 or 5, getting other people who ain't have none to bring it for them. You know how much a bottle of rum does cost in London? How much? 37 and 6. How much that is in Trinidad money? Only about $10. Henry whistled, phew. You bring any money? Moses went on. For by this time he not even sure it ain't a dream he dreaming, and he would wake up in bed and laugh at it. I have £3, Henry said defensively. But ease me up with the questions, old man. I'm tired after that long journey. It's £5 you can land with, you know. Yes, but I get in a wapey game on board with some of the fellas and lose too. Boy, it had a wapey test on board. All right, Sir Galahad, Moses say. Take it easy. London will do for you before long. Come, we will catch the tube, but you ain't have any luggage. Thus it was that Henry Oliver Esquire, alias. Thus it was that Henry Oliver Esquire, alias. This is some spiritual battles. Thus it was that Henry Oliver Esquire, alias Sir Galahad, descend on London to swell the population by 1, and 8.5 months later it had a Galahad Jr. in Ladbroke Grove, and all them English people stopping in the road and admiring the baby curly hair when the mother pushing it in the pram as she goes shopping for rations. The only thing Galahad say when they was in the tube going to the water is that I find when I talk, smoke coming out my mouth. It's so it is in this country, Moses say. Sometimes the words freeze and you have to melt it to hear the talk. That is an old one, Galahad say. So this is the underground train I hear so much about. Yes, Moses say. Moses make up his mind to treat Galahad in a special way because he behaving as if he think he back home in Port of Spain or something. Still, he had to admit that it looked as if Galahad have a lot of guts. The way how he getting on, the way how he land without any luggage, and Moses still amazed how he stand in the cold without no winter clothes. Galahad say, I find the train stopping often. Why is they? Ask London Transport, Moses say. Which part you live in, Galahad say. In the water, Bayswater to you until you're living in the city for at least 2 years. Why they call it Bayswater? Is a bay, it have water. Take it easy, Moses say. You can't learn everything the first day you land. And you might notice we don't talk much in the tube because it's making too much noise and you have to raise your voice. How fast we going? If you must talk, tell me about Frank, Moses say. He get married yet? It had a girl in St. James used to write him every week when he was up here. When they get to the water, Galahad wants to stand up and look at everything, though it ain't have anything to look at. But Moses hurry him home because the fog like it getting thicker and it making cold too bad. Sir Galahad look around in Moses' room. You have a small room, man, he say. You will get a better one for yourself, Moses say. What is that in the corner? A gas fire. I better put it on. You have a shilling change on you? Moses have shilling, but he have a feeling that if he don't tap the Galahad early, he would never be able to do it later on. Galahad hand Moses a shilling and watch him put it in the slot in the meter and light the gas. First thing Galahad say is, you can't put in a piece of lead shaped like a shilling instead. Frank say he used to do that. Take it easy, Moses say. All these questions you're asking is good questions, but you will find out for yourself before long. That small fire does keep the room warm? Yes, Moses say, but if I get the room, I expect upstairs, and you could stay here, and you wouldn't need to put it on, seeing that winter is like high noon to you. Moses heat up a pot of rice and peas, and they eat. Moses keeping quiet because he don't want to crank up the old Galahad, who look as if he like to talk a lot. But when they finish eating, he gets in a better mood, and he decide to make the position clear. Listen, he say, you can stay here tonight. You will have to sleep on them 2 chairs. But tomorrow, if the landlord don't agree for you to have this room, you will have to find a place. And also you have to look for work. I'm not saying you is a ants, but you have enough ants already in London. Though the boys does have to get up and hustle a lot, still every man on his own. It ain't have no S over here like both of we is Trinidadians and we must help out one another. You're going to meet a lot of fellas from home who don't even want to talk to you because they have matters on the mind. So the sooner you get settled, the better for you. London not like Port of Spain. Don't ask plenty questions and you will find out a lot. I don't usually talk to fellas like this, but I take a fancy for you. My blood take you. Tell me, what you used to do before you come? I was working point to pier in the oil fields, Galahad say. Where you used to live? Down south, San Fernando, in Mercarapo Street. You know Mahal. Mahal was a mad Indian fella who used to go around town playing as if he driving car, putting in gear and stepping on the X and making hand signals and blowing horn. But how you mean everybody know Mahal? He must be catching arse with the new type of gear it have on them cars now, Moses laughed. Galahad laughed. He's still driving old model. And how about Palace Theatre? It's still there? Boy, when I was there, the film used to burst every minute. Yes, man, the palace still there, but they're showing a set of Indian pictures now to make money. I hear the build over the market is true. And old Moses start to get nostalgic now that he have a friend who just arrived from Trinidad, and the two of them talk a long time until they feel sleepy. Galahad put the 2 chairs together and fall asleep right away. Moses watch him and take a blanket off the bed and throw on him. But Galahad throw it back and asked Moses how he could sleep with blanket when it's so hot. I think you best had see a doctor tomorrow first thing, Moses say. Something must be wrong with you. But Galahad was snoring already. The next morning, Moses get up about 9:30 and wash face and scrub teeth and comb hair, and still Galahad was sleeping with a smile on his face. Bam. I'm going to stop there on page 18. Thanks for listening.